Hello everyone, this is Jonathan Little. I'm here in Atlantis. This is actually the third take of this first part of this video because it is windy outside. I actually had my coffee blow all over my arm. That was not nice. First year I came to Atlantis. Today is my first day here. I am going to be playing the $1,000 tournament in about 45 minutes, and then a $2,000 tournament at 7 p.m., both turbo tournaments. Tomorrow's the first slow tournament. It's the, what is it? LAPT. I'm not exactly sure what it stands for. Oh, Latin American Poker Tour main event, I believe. So that should be fun. I'm feeling pretty good about poker. Online has been going well when I played recently in Prague, although live poker has been pretty tough. It's always difficult whenever you're playing live and you don't win any all-ins, because you travel to the live tournament circuit, you get to play 10 tournaments, and if you lose them, you're out, and then you go home. And if you win them, you think you're the best in the world. It's funny how it goes. Online, though, you do get to see much more consistent results, which is always very beneficial to someone, especially when they're going through a live downswing, although I would not say my downswing is anything significant. I've certainly had good results over the last year, and hopefully I have good results at this year. In the past, I have had very good results at the PCA. I final tabled the main event once. Last year, I chopped a 5K. All these people are looking at me. Come on through. I'm not taking it. I'm taping myself.
Oh, okay.
It's all sorts of people. I'll show you. They apparently want to look exactly at these fish right where I'm looking. It's a whole mess of fish. They have a lot of fish here in Atlantis. They let people swim with the fish. I don't know if you can see that. There they are. Kind of cool. Anyway, that's it. I am going to do my best out here. I'm feeling good. I'm going to make a point to have a very serene morning every morning. This morning, for example, I woke up, took care of a little bit of work, meditated a bit, had a big green smoothie, and I feel great. I'm ready to go. I'm going to try to not party so much at the PCA. It's very easy to party out here because there are a lot of people who I'm friends with. And when you get a lot of people together, they tend to like to party. So I'm probably only going to party a time or two. So yeah, I'm going to go play poker now and do my best.
3 live players at your table.
It is time to find my seat for day 1 of the main event. Where is it? Table 18. Here we are. Looks like fun.
Table number 18.
Hello. I made it through day 1 of the main event, which is good. It's actually a very swingy day. I started off right at the beginning of the day running a big bluff. And my opponent decided not to fold. He had an overpair. So I almost instantly got down to 15,000 from a 30,000 chip stack. That was no fun. From there I made the nuts and had a guy get it all in drawing dead to double up. That was good. Then after that I made top pair second kicker. I had ace queen in a 3-bet pot versus the guy who had just gotten it in drawing dead against me on the very next hand. So, no, it was actually a 4-bet pot. He raised, I 3-bet ace queen from the small blind, he 4-bet and I called. And it came ace 10 8. I did not see how I could fold, and he had ace king. So that was tough. I was back down to 15K. I don't remember exactly what happened. Oh, I know what happened. Later, someone raised, or I raised with pocket sixes, someone 3-bet, I called. I flopped a set, and I decided to dunk into him 3 streets, all in by the river. He decided to call off with middle pair. So that was good. So that got me back up to 30,000. Then I doubled up again somehow. I don't know. I got up to 60,000, then lost another big pot where I flopped the nut flush, and my opponent made a boat. So it was a swingy day. There was a lot of all-ins, and I guess I ended up neutral. I ended up with about 33,000. We started with 30,000. So going to play day 2 right now. Also, I'm actually leaving a little bit early, an hour early, because every day PokerStars does a talk. Well, most of the days. In the morning, there was a talk with some of the Twitch streamers yesterday. Guess I'll show you the video of that next. And I don't know exactly who's talking today. I think it may be Daniel Negreanu. I'm not entirely sure. But I figure might as well make the most of it and go watch those talks. So I'm gonna go hang out, relax, enjoy my morning, have some coffee, and do my best.
Translate your 24-table world into Twitch space, and how does that feel to you? How's it different? And, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah. Coming from 24 tables to a lot less was a big change, kind of like live poker pretty much. But you adapt to it.
This is so slow. I'm only playing 10 tables.
Go on PokerStars.com and make an account and I save $10. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I have like a couple hours in front of me, so why not? Because I've always been curious, and so that's how I started playing poker. It's like, and like the funniest thing is like the first thing he told me is like, never play tournaments, and obviously I'm here now. So
once you start losing, it's very hard to take emotionally. It's you don't really know how to deal with it, and then once the losses start to pile up, it's really hard to just get out of that. Whereas if you kind of just start either winning slowly, or even if you start losing in both poker and business, you gain the knowledge. You gain a lot of knowledge, and then as you start winning, you have the tools to fight back any kind of future losses. So I think it's actually like a healthier way to like move forward. And
I've been doing this. Like no one's ever going to employ me. What am I going to do? Like, well, you've learned a shit ton of skills. Like, this is really, really useful. Break it down and put it on there. And like more often than not, people are just very interested to hear. I'm sure you've all experienced this when people go, oh, well, what are your hobbies? Oh, I play poker. No one ever goes, oh, cool, and then walks away. Like they're super interested.
Hello, everyone. This is day 3 of the main event. I made it through with about 215,000 chips, which is 7 starting stacks. Good for about 1.5 times average, so that is good. Yesterday was actually pretty smooth sailing until the last level. A very good maniac, Cal Anderson, got moved to my left. But it went okay. I played one big pot with him, and besides that, I just played kind of nitty. Whenever you have a very tough seat, and I had actually a pretty good table, but a very tough seat, it's typically best just to be a nit and get out of there. So that is what I did. Today I have no clue who's at my table. We will get in the money today. I believe there are 200 people left and 135 get in the money. I'm gonna go do my best. I feel like I played good yesterday. I had good table draws for the most part. A lot of people were letting me just raise, 3-bet, continuation bet, win somewhat simple pots. And whenever that happens, it's nice. Whenever you're not having to blast your sack in every hand to try to steal a small pot, things tend to go your way. So hopefully I get a good seat. If I don't, I'll play smart with it, and I'll do my best. We are currently on the bubble. Unfortunately, I have 20 big blinds, which is not where I want to be. I've actually had 2 pretty big pots today versus Matthew Waxman. Both times he has made the nuts. Both times I've made pretty much close to the second nuts. One I actually did have the second nuts, the other time I had a straight, which I'm certainly not trying to fold. So the plan is to grind it out and get in the money. There are 2 or 3 players who have 3 or 4 big blinds. So I'm gonna hang out. We've actually been hand for hand for I think for an entire level. So blinds are going, actually I guess I don't have 20 big blinds anymore. I think I have more like 16. Once I get in the money, of course, I'm gonna be trying my best to run it up. So that's where we are. If I bust, there's nothing else for me today. I will play the 25K tomorrow. Hopefully, I don't get to play a 25K at all. Hello, hello, hello. You see that guy? He is crazy. That guy is bonkers, if you ever play with him.
Please go back to your seat. If not playing, clear the area.
Fernando coming over behind the dealer now. Fernando, okay, he's just about to go right.
Please flip him over. Show your cards.
All in call, cleared only shows ace-queen of spades against ace-king of diamonds. Let's see the flop. Flop is queen of hearts, 3 of diamonds, 5 of diamonds. Ace-king is ahead. Let's see the turn. 10 of hearts. It's still winning. The river is on 4 of the spades. We're going to lose the player.
Year-long goal. It's very easy to just get into life, you know, and then life happens and you just kind of forget about where you were. So within the big goal, within that big, you know, where I'll typically use 3 months as goals when I do like for physical fitness or things like that. Let's say we have a 3-month goal. Within that 3-month goal, when I decide, first of all, this is the goal I'm setting, now I write out a roadmap for the entire 3 months. What is my plan to accomplish X? So part of what I set a few years ago when I wanted to really get back on track with poker was I wanted to get back in the top 15 in the GPI. That was my goal, right? How do I do it, right? So within the week, I put Mondays, 2 hours, watch PokerStars.tv. Tuesdays, 7 p.m., 1 hour, discuss poker with friends. Thursday, Friday, practice playing poker. So within that 3-month goal, I had a plan week to week. So every Sunday, I'd write what we call a weekly roadmap of how I'm going to get there. And little benchmarks along the way. I think a weight loss goal is an even easier way to do that.
Well, here I am. Yesterday, I busted the main event shortly after getting in the money. Trying to think the few hands I played. I got in the money with about 18 big blinds. I want to say on the first hand after we got in the money, someone raised from middle position. I picked up King 10 suited and went all in, and he folded. That was good. My face looks very red. I'll tell you why I'm unhappy in just a moment. A few hands later, I defended King 9 suited in the big blind. The flop came nothing. I check folded, and then a few hands later, I picked up pocket 10s. I raised. Big blind re-raised. I went all in. He called. He had ace king, and I lost. So I'm okay with the way I played the main event. All in all, I have no real regrets. I just got back to my room from busting the 25K. That's probably why I seem unhappy. I feel like I played really well for the first, call it 7 hours of the day, 7 levels. I think I played pretty great. I pretty much doubled up with no real showdowns, which is exactly what you want. I was a bit fortunate in that whenever I was running my bluffs, my opponents just folded every time, and I got value a time or two where maybe I should not have. Came back from dinner break. Things were going okay, and then a hand came up where someone raised under the gun, and a kind of splashy guy to 2,500. I made it 6,500 in the cutoff with ace king. Ace of hearts, king of diamonds. Folds around to a guy in the big blind, who is a guy who seems like he can do some levely stuff, seems very tricky. I saw him hanging out with one of my friends who I know is crazy. So he was playing with his iPad and then kind of like nonchalantly put in 15K. At the moment, we both have roughly 100K. So under the gun folds, and I decide I do not want to get in 100K at this point, which would be roughly 120 big blinds with the ace king. So I call. Flop came 10, 8, 6. No. 10, 8, 3. 2 hearts. I have ace of hearts. He bet 13K and I decided to call. I don't really know if I should be calling in this spot. Maybe I should even be considering a raise, but it's a pretty nasty spot because I'm getting great odds. I could easily just be against jacks and be getting a perfectly fine price to peel. And any heart is fairly good, and my opponent may just check fold on a lot of turns, like say the turn's a 9 or a jack or a 7 or a 6. So I called. Turn was a 6. He bet 19,000 and I folded. So that was no fun. I believe 2 hands later, someone raised. Someone went all in for 18 big blinds, and I picked up ace king suited. I did not fold, and the shover had pocket 6s, and I lost. So I went from something like 100,000 chips to 50,000 chips within a few hands. Both with ace king, interestingly enough. I get moved to a new table. I had ace king again. I raised ace king from early position. Big blind defended. It came. I have ace king offsuit, or ace of diamonds, king of hearts, something like that. Comes 10, 8, 6, or 10, 8, 3. 10, 8, 3, all spades. 10, 8, 3, same board. Maybe I'm getting the boards confused. 10, 8, 6, 10, 8, 3, something like that. All spades. I had no spade. He checked. I checked. Turns an ace. He checks. I bet. I believe 3,500. I pre-flop raised to 2,000. He called. River's the jack. Check, check. He shows jack 10. He had the spade. He had jack spades. So you can't really fault him for playing the hand in that way. But tough spot where, I put in money every time I was ahead, and did not put any money when I was behind. And then my bust out hand happened, where I raised. At this point I had 40,000-ish, playing 600, 1,200. I raised 3,000 from the cutoff. I prefer 2.5 big blind raises versus good players, because if you min raise, they'll defend every time and they'll play well when they defend. So you typically want to raise a little bit larger versus good people. And most of the people at the table were good. Guy on the button, known to be very splashy player who sticks around too long in the hand. He defends button. It comes ace of clubs, jack of clubs, 5 of diamonds. So I have nothing. I like to continuation bet this. I think I could check fold. I think check folding actually would be fine, but I don't mind betting because this player on the button is the type of player who I think will be 3-betting most of his very strong hands and most of his trash that he's going to play. So he's also the kind of guy who's going to call stuff like 9-8 suited and pocket fours and whatnot. He's not going to be the player who's just 3-betting everything. So I think we have some fold equity on the flop. So I bet roughly the same amount as my pre-flop raise, probably 3,000. He calls. Whenever I bet the flop, I know I'm going to be barreling the turn a lot. Turn is a ace, jack, 5, 3. Turns to 3. So now I have a gut shot. Gut shots will get you in trouble. I bet 10,000, leaving myself about 28,000 behind, I believe. Maybe I had 30,000 behind. The plan was to bet the turn and then jam the river. So I did bet the turn. He thought for a little bit, then called. And again, this is the type of player I do think will stick around with a random jack or random ace, and then perhaps find a fold on the river. You'll find that a lot of splashy players, they call the flop, call the turn, and then whenever they see that someone who's typically tight and aggressive decides to put their stack in on the river, they fold, as they should. I think he probably views me as tight-ish, aggressive-ish, so if that's the case, I should either check fold the turn or bet the turn and jam the river. So river was a 5, offsuit 5. All the draws missed. I think if actually the draws came in, I probably would have checked. I don't think I'm going to blast on the drawy rivers, because I think he actually should have a lot of draws. But I thought he could easily have an ace or a jack and just fold every time. So I went all in. 30,000 into the, whatever it is, 10, 20, 35,000 or so. And he snapped me off. Not what I wanted to see. He had ace-jack, so obviously he's never folding that. And he played it well, so good play by the opponent. A lot of players just raise the flop immediately with top 2 pair, thinking, well, if he has an ace, I'm stacking him every time, or they don't want to get outdrawn, stuff like that. But I think he played it well, and that's unfortunate. When your opponents play well, you can easily get yourself into trouble. So it's no fun to be busting the big tournaments. It's been a pretty rough trip now. Prior to today, I believe I was down like 4,000 on the trip, which is kind of irrelevant, I suppose. Really, you have to recognize, if you come out to a tournament series, you're going to play 8 or 10 tournaments, and usually you're going to be down 6 or 8 buy-ins by the end of the trip. Unfortunately, at the PCA, they have a very wide range of buy-ins, and I am willing to play a somewhat wide spread. So you can lose 2Ks and you can lose 25Ks. But unfortunately, losing the 25Ks are always, I'm not going to say painful is the right word, but it's kind of like, it's just discouraging. You feel it when you lose the ones that are big, because there really are very few tournaments in today's environment where you can expect to win a lot of money. There are just a few big WPTs now. Also, I guess I should sort of change that to say that there are very few tournaments that have less than 1,000 people where you can expect to win a lot of money. Because there are WPTs now that are 3,500 buy-ins, but they have 1,000 people and you're just not winning that tournament. It's very, very difficult to win a 1,000 person tournament. But PCA 25K, there may be 250 people. It's reasonably likely you can win that tournament if you run a little bit, if you run good. Anytime I run a bluff and I bust, well, I guess this should be clear. Whenever I run a bluff and I bust, it feels way worse than just getting it in and getting unlucky, or even getting it in, flipping and losing, whatever. Because the bluffs are very rarely 100% necessary. Whereas I feel like a lot of the time, well, if you get unlucky, that's fine. And if you get in a flip spot where you have a good hand, that's also fine. The bluffs are the ones that are much more difficult to quantify. And like the bluff today, I think it's probably just a close spot on the turn and the river, and maybe that's a good reason for me just to check fold. Probably should have check folded. Wish I would have check folded. But I'm okay with it. I will rest soundly tonight. And yeah. Tomorrow, I believe, is a 2,000 6-handed tournament. which I will play at noon. And the next day is a 10,000 turbo and then a 2,000 turbo. Those are both usually very good right at the end of the series. Everyone's trying to get even, myself included this time. So I'm going to be playing that. All in all, I feel like I've played pretty good on this trip. There really aren't very many hands where I'm looking at them and thinking, wow, that was terrible. Like even my bust out hand today, I don't think it was terrible. I wish I would have had some sort of a, I guess there really aren't any blockers I could even have without having a good hand. But yeah, poker's fun.